As Democrats continue their impeachment inquiry into President Trump, the Republican Party certainly appears to be solidly behind him. Of the three men vying for the GOP nomination, only two say that they support impeachment.
So what does the Republican Party actually look like after President Trump? I actually spoke with the founder of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, about the direction of the party and what he thinks that it means to be conservative. Take a listen.
Charlie, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
I love the program.
So, Charlie, you're here at Politicon. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to. What are you trying to do here?
Well, capping off a pretty exciting week. Did a multi-state campus tour. Started at Grand Canyon University with Donald Trump Jr., did Colorado State, Iowa, then New Hampshire, flew back for our Western Regional Conference in Newport Beach, and here we are in Nashville. I'm participating in a debate against Kyle Kulinski, so that should be quite interesting.
What's the debate going to be about? What is it about?
So it's actually going to be about President Trump. A lot of it, we'll see where it goes. I mean, these things kind of shape-shift in their own way, but the premise is supposed to be, has President Trump made America great again? I guess the debate's going to be more, can I at least get Kyle to admit there's been some marginal improvement in America's condition over the last 2.5 years? Because it's something tells me, based on where he's coming from, he's not going to want to give much credence or credibility, to that argument.
So, Charlie, tell us about, I guess, the support of President Trump, right? So, like, Turning Point USA, it's almost intrinsically linked to the administration at this point. What is it about Trump in particular that makes you guys fused together?
So we have a 501c4, which is Students for Trump, and that's outwardly pro-Trump. The 501c3 does educational events. We've done a lot at the White House, but we have to stay very disciplined on education. You know the importance of me with that disclaimer.
I totally get it. So what are you trying to educate people about?
Thank you. So I appreciate that. So first and foremost, I say this at every speech I give. I say that America is the greatest country ever to exist in the history of the world. And when you start from that perspective, you want to defend, restore, and hopefully revitalize America if you think it's going in the wrong direction. And the argument that I will make tonight, personally, is that President Trump has revitalized America. Now, we still have some very pressing challenges. I think one of the most unaddressed ones would be the national debt and deficit. As a fiscal hawk myself, and as kind of as a fan of Rand Paul, I just kind of get worried when we have $1 trillion in debt.
So, but that's the question, right? It's like, how are you a fan of Rand Paul and a fan of Donald Trump?
Well, I could tell you exactly. So I began with one thing that I found to be a challenge, but now I'm going to tell you all the things I love. I love Gorsuch. I love Kavanaugh. I love the 150 Circuit Court judges. I love a more restrained foreign policy and reconsidering these foreign occupations with no success in sight in Afghanistan. I love the tax cut bill. I love deregulation. I love the appreciation for the American entrepreneur and free enterprise. And so, look, I've said, once, I'll say it again, that I think one of the things that we have to address most urgently is our debt and deficit. Okay. And I think we as conservatives, we made our brand and our nationwide kind of call to action under Obama under that. And I think the president recognizes this in the sense that he's submitted budgets that would eventually balance. Congress has just thrown those out the window, and he's been kind of stonewalled on that.
What about with the voters, though, right? Because you look at the election. I mean, what they wanted was less immigration and better trade. Now, Mitt Romney ran on a lot of what you're talking about here, and he didn't win.
Right. I mean, I agree that we should have less illegal immigration and in some ways less chain migration, visa lottery. I think, look, your analysis is not incorrect, I don't think, but I think I think 2016 was multifaceted. Okay. If I had to overly generalize, which is a very dangerous thing to do, I think there was I don't like the Bush family anymore. I don't like the Clinton family. Here's a guy who says he's going to go blow it all up, metaphorically, of course, not like Madonna, right, metaphorically. Why not? Let's give him a shot. Okay. And then if you actually look, there were districts that have not voted Republican in a long time, like the districts in southern Colorado and districts in northern New Mexico that voted for Donald Trump on those issues of more restrictive immigration and on trade. Well, President Trump has renegotiated trade deals. Got to give him credit for that. I think one of the longest lasting, most significant accomplishments of the Trump presidency is our reorientation towards China. And I think a lot of people are acknowledge that. Rich Lowry, who wrote the Against Trump, said, my goodness, this is one of the greatest things. China is the #1 enemy of the United States. I mean, what they're doing has to be addressed. And so I think that's a huge positive. And then from the immigration standpoint, the president has tried to put forth at least some common sense immigration reform, ending visa lottery, chain migration. Southern border apprehensions are going down finally. It took a very asymmetrical approach. I would argue that it took threatening to put Mexican tariffs on Mexico to actually get Mexico to help enforce the southern border. I think the latest border apprehensions is 57,000 people.
But how do you square that with the Rand Paul? Because I talked to Rand Paul on the show 2 weeks ago.
Look, I don't believe in everything he says, right? But he's actually my favorite U.S. senator, but I think Rand does believe in a strong southern border. I'm more hawkish on. I'm closer to Senator Cotton on immigration, closer to Senator Rand Paul on size and scope of government. Get rid of the Department of Education, Commerce, Energy. I think there's one more. If you get the joke with Rick Perry, actually remember all three. We love Rick Perry here, though. But no, look. The point being is, I think the Trump presidency is a disruptive presidency, and people know that I'm a very supportive, advocate of the president, and I don't back down from that. But the economic success is pretty unprecedented. I love the fact that we're reconsidering these foreign wars. It seems that there's been this bipartisan agreement that we have to occupy every country that looks at us a little, incorrectly, and I just think that's wrong. And with the recent news today, it shows that you don't need a huge foreign occupation force to actually go after enemies that want to kill us, with al-Baghdadi, which is something very, very promising there. And look, also the judges. I think one of the longest lasting successes of the Trump presidency, 150 impartial judges, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. It's pretty big.
So here's the question. What does it all look like after Trump? I've been asking this all day.
All the time.
So what does it look like? I mean, you have one of the biggest organizations in the conservative movement.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to be pushing for?
So under the assumption he wins re-election, let's just play that game, because I don't know, I'd say it's probably 50-50. The Democrats are going to throw everything they got at us. Let's play the theoretical he wins re-election. Look, the conservative movement, and I have a book coming up about this, I think it's going to be very positive in the sense that we're going to be able to have the intellectual space and permission to not have to say we have to declare war in every country that looks at us incorrectly, to maybe be against regime change. Now, mind you, President Trump was highly critical of John Bolton's Libya strategy, which was one of the worst decisions we've ever made in recent U.S. history. But we displaced Gaddafi. Gaddafi's a horrible guy, but now we have like an ISIS power vacuum in Libya. I think that's a good thing, because we as conservatives, if we believe in limited government, we believe in restricting government power and government spending, the war machine's a big part of that. So I think that's a really good long-lasting legacy. And honestly, I think there's something positive about the Trump legacy of saying we can be for the American worker again. It might look differently to every person, but I think the technocratic Mitt Romney, George H.W. Bush way of saying that we're only going to talk supply-side economics at the Manhattan Economic Club, that doesn't resonate to folks in Iowa and Colorado. And I think there's something okay with that. Now, I'm a free trade guy, so you got to reconcile the two there.
Say, how is that reconciled, right?
Again, I think there are ways to say, though, that there has been a squeezing out of middle America, that there has been a turning of the back. My argument would be that the power center and the wealth center has gone to Washington, D.C., and you actually look at the richest counties in America.
It's all around
D.C. Right? But there is something to be said that China has deliberately dumped products. They've stolen our IP, and they've waged economic war on us for a long time. And I hope that the new China deal reflects at least some form of equilibrium, that we're able to sell our products, and that the American worker can be given at least a fair shot.
Well, Charlie, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Love the program.
Great to see you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.